People are saying that they don't feel right bashing a president during wartime, but we have a president who is so profoundly impaired that he is not only endangering lives, he's killing people. He has done such a horrendous, atrocious, awful job that people are already dying because of it, and it has to be stopped. Just has to be stopped. Someone has to take away the control of this crisis from him and find some grown up who can do it right. For starters, we're short of all kinds of things. Now, that shouldn't have happened. It happened because he shut down all kinds of preparedness operations that were in effect, and he did it to save money or because Obama started it, whatever reason, but he did it. And because of that, we weren't ready. Then he denied that there was a problem. He called it a hoax. He said it would go away quickly. And of course, that was nonsense that was backed up by Fox News. So people who were watching Fox News ignored the problem and they made it worse. But on top of that, we don't have supplies. Now, that's not just Trump's fault. That's also Bill Clinton's fault and George Bush's fault and Barack Obama's fault and Joe Biden's fault. All the people who just love globalization. They changed the world so that the U.S. now depends on suppliers outside of the U.S., and they killed manufacturing in the United States. So we don't have the kind of companies that can manufacture respirators anymore. We have to order them from China. We can't make them. We're going to gear up to make them. Some companies are going to try to do that, but we stopped making those kinds of things. We're all out of hand sanitizer. Why is it taking so long for there to be hand sanitizer? Every person should be given hand sanitizer, boxes of it by the government so that they use it. They keep it in their car, they keep it at their front door, they keep it in every store, all over the place, because that's the kind of thing that can help to protect people and saves lives. Every person should be given a box of surgical face masks, if not the N95 ones. We all need to have them because they make us safer. Now, some people are saying, you really don't need them because blah, 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 blah. And the scientific studies don't support it. I don't buy that at all. The countries where they're using them consistently are doing way better, and their curves are much better than what we have here. They tell us wear a cloth face mask. That's outrageous. It is an embarrassment. It's like saying travel around with a scooter. Why? Because we don't have them here. We don't have them to give to people. And yes, we need to keep the N95 ones for the healthcare providers, the nurses, the doctors, and the first responders. But that's because they screwed up so badly. That's because we don't have enough of them. Every single person in the United States should have a supply of those N95 masks, and we can't. So they tell us to wear scarves or wear cloth covers. And yeah, they're better than nothing, and you should. You should be wearing them. And if you're going anywhere where there are other people, you should be having them on. But that's not what you should have on. Now, my friend's an ER doc. He has an N95 mask and he has to wear the same one for a week. That's crazy. So, what he's doing is he's wearing that one and he's wearing two additional ones on top of it. And that's something that you can do. What I'm using is a ski face mask that I have, and underneath it, I have cut out pieces from a vacuum cleaner filter bag, and that's better. And I've got on order from China surgical masks, and they're supposed to come next week. It took two weeks to get them, paying an extra $20 for a rush fee, and I ordered another batch. They'll come the end of April, beginning of May, so I'll have a supply for a while because you really don't want to wear them that often. I'll wear it for a day probably, and then I'll throw it out, and I'm going to give some to some of my family members. But you should be wearing them, and it's a travesty that they told us that it wasn't necessary. The truth is they lied. They told us that because they wanted to save them for the medical providers, and their intention was good, but they lied, and they could have told us to wear the cloth masks or something all along. So pay attention to it. Now, another thing that's going on is the economic consequences of this. They are devastating, horrible, unprecedented, something that we've never faced in our lives before, even during World War II, because it didn't touch this continent. We didn't deal with the kind of devastation that we're now dealing with, where we have basically virtual ghost towns all over and all around us. And there's going to be a lot of exploitation going on, and it's happening already. And Naomi Klein wrote a book, I think it was in 2008, Shock Doctrine, where she talked about how when there are crises, people exploit them. And that's going to be happening now, and we have to keep a close eye on that and make sure that we don't get taken advantage of, and that the politicians don't screw us, because they will, and they are, and they already have, I'm sure, and we have to be very vigilant of that. All the while where we're dealing with all the other things that we have to deal with, because it's the whole idea of the shock doctrine is that people exploit us when there's a crisis, when we're not paying attention, because we have to pay attention to the crisis. So we have to also be looking at that. And I'm going to wrap up talking about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is an embarrassment. It is shameful that he is still running. It is so clear that he has dementia, and he is being handled. He disappeared at a crucial time during the crisis and gave an excuse that he had to get his basement video shop set up, which means what? He's got to get green screens, and he had to get teleprompters, because he can't talk without teleprompters for more than a couple of minutes without going off topic or getting confused. And that's pretty scary. And it is just totally inappropriate. And he needs to debate again. And if you're one of those people saying Bernie should give up, well, screw you. Sorry, but there's an election. And actually, almost all the primaries have been delayed, except the psychopaths in Wisconsin, where the Republicans, I think they want to cause the Democrats to get sick by going to the polls. But most of the elections that are left have been delayed into June, and anything can happen. I really think that we're going to see more and more of Biden. Basically, he has dementia. It's getting worse. Almost every time he gives any kind of a conversation, he loses it, and he just kind of wanders off and stops what he's talking about. And then the hosts all cut him slack. But it's a terrible situation. And already Fox News and Sean Hannity and Donald Trump, they're all attacking him about it, and they're going to go massively against him on that. And then there are the accusations from 8 different women that Biden sexually harassed them or did something wrong. And the answer that people are giving who are supporting Biden is he's not as bad as Trump. Please, this is just insane. Get over it. Biden is no good. Biden, at the best, I'm hoping that what might happen is Biden will garner the votes. This is not the best. This is the worst, but it could be even worse. I'm hoping that if Biden does get the votes to become the Democratic candidate, that he'll go into a convention, whether it's a real one or a digital one, and he will basically say, hey guys, I'm sorry I have dementia. I'm handing my delegates over to the DNC. And the DNC, along with the superdelegates, will then appoint somebody who never ran for office in the first place. Now, they may pick somebody like Amy Klobuchar, who is a loser, who loses almost every time in all the polls that were ran against her against Trump. Or they may pick one of the other candidates who were running who was a loser and who did poorly against Trump. Maybe they'll go with Cuomo. He says he doesn't want to run, but who knows? Maybe the Sherrod Brown, the senator from Ohio, which is a swing state, is another one who's been talked about. The I forget her name, the woman governor from Michigan. She's another potential candidate. Biden is talking about having her as vice president, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're going to have a vice presidential candidate, you want to have somebody that might help you win a state that's a key state. So that could be a good idea. But it shouldn't be Biden. And it shouldn't be that Biden runs and then the DNC decides who becomes the candidate. That's wrong, too. So take another look at Bernie Sanders. He's a good man. And he has shown the leadership. He has the vision, because there's a meme going around. It lists about 30 other countries and how many people lost their health insurance since the coronavirus. And it's millions in the United States, and it's none in any of these other countries. They all have their health insurance. So now Trump is talking about extending Medicare for people who have coronavirus. Well, that puts him to the left of Joe Biden. That puts him with a better position on health care than the Democratic Party based on Joe Biden. So people say, don't talk about politics now. Well, but we have to. We have to, because politics got us into the mess that we're in right now. We have a president and a collection of talking fools, an idiocracy, a team of idiots who are showing up on network TV every day. And the network TV should not be showing Trump. Trump is using those daily briefings as press conferences that are just like his rallies. He's politicized them entirely. And the press should not be doing that. The press should be recording Trump and then reporting on the important information. And they can do that as it breaks. As he says it, they can say it, but they shouldn't be just showing him live for an hour and a half or whatever amount of time it is that he's giving his talks. They should just selectively show what's important. Now, it could be important to show when Trump shows what a pathetic, sick, malignant, narcissist psychopath he is. But again, you don't have to show an hour and a half of that. And you don't have to hand to him all of that free media just because there's a crisis going on. He doesn't deserve it, and it's not good for America. It's not good for the world. Cut it out, shut it off, record it, and have your reporters do their job and intelligently analyze what he has to say. So, my first time doing an assessment of what's going on here. These are really crazy times. I go out and I drive, going to the supermarket or on an errand, and it feels like it's Night of the Living Dead, and everything is abandoned and closed. It's like a science fiction story, but it's our reality, and we have to make the best of it. So be kind, be loving, stay connected to people as much as you can in as many ways as you can, and hang in there and be safe, be healthy. Thanks. And check me out at robcall.com and at opednews.com/Rob.